You're listening to ArTEEtude, a podcast with artists created and produced by Detlef Schlich, a visual artist and ritual designer, living and loving in West Cork, and best known for his essay about the cause and effect of shamanism, art and digital culture. Working in the field of performance, photography, painting, sound, installations, and film, he will dive and discover with us and a weekly creative guest into the unknown and exciting deep ocean of the creative mind.
This is Detlef Schlich. Today we dive into the unknown, exciting ocean of the creative mind. Without a talk guest. Maybe not really without a talk guest. It's a reflection about talk guests, actually, what I'm going to do today. And I'm actually quite happy about that. Like I always mention, if I'm going to do a reflection, it is always nice sometimes to do a podcast without guests, because what I feel energetical-wise is with guests. It's for me a completely different situation than without a guest. I'm far more excited as well. I mean, I'm so happy about this podcast and all this diversity of guests. But this 3 episodes with guests are sometimes so exciting. I'm knackered after that. I don't know why it is. I feel like this is a very, very sacred space if I invite people, and I want to make it as comfortable as possible for them, and I really I'm not preparing it so much because I like more the phenomenological, spontaneous way, because I don't know. I mean, if I hear all the same questions, the same Facebook, Instagram, TikTok questions, what is your favorite color? What is your favorite this? What is your favorite position in bed? Or whatever. I'm getting so bored about that. So yes, it's great to reflect this time about nice people. It is actually about Bernd Franco Hoffmann and Szilagyi from Hungary. I will come later to them again. And what I'm going to do is after that, I will answer reader questions about, the question is what are my latest projects and where I'm working on. So I will go into that a little bit deeper as well in order to show you a little bit the daily life or the struggling of a visual artist, So I mean, it's not just only podcast and promotion, and I mean, promotion is a big part of it now in my life in the last 2 years. But I will come on that later. First of all, I'm so happy about all you dear listeners that you're so interested in my podcast, and I would like to thank the listeners in I start. Actually, the scale from the most listeners to the lowest part. So I would like to thank people from. No, hang on. First of all, I switch on the candle. Look here, I switch on the candle. Nah, it's almost empty. What does that mean? No gas anymore. But I have another one. So this is the candle. And if the candles are burning, I will thank you, dear people. All right. So, everyone who is interested to see the visual podcast on YouTube, you can do that next Sunday at 10 o'clock a.m. This podcast is every Sunday. It's an early confession, 10 o'clock in the morning. So you're more than welcome to join in before you're going to go to the mess, or if you start a mess anywhere else. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. I started off from people from Ireland, people from the United States, people from United Kingdom and Germany and Japan and France. I would say these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 highest position where listeners coming from. And I will thank people from France, from Spain, from Canada, from Australia, from the Netherlands, from Sweden, from Russian Federation, from India, from Romania, from China, Switzerland, Belgium, Ukraine, Brazil, Italy, Philippines, Norway, Portugal, dear people from New Zealand, great to have you here on board as well. South Africa, yes, lovely. Finland, Hungary, where Szilagyi is coming from, actually. So dear listeners from Hungary, I'm so happy to have you here as well. And all the best to Zo from here, from ArTEEtude, and from me, Detlef, to you. I hope you are well. And I hope all the people in Hungary, they are well, because the regime there is currently not the best, and if it comes to LGBT and homophobic and they really suffering somehow of it, so that's not really nice. I mean, if you want to listen a little bit more about that, we could go back to the podcast with Zo, or maybe I'm gonna do a new one with Zo as well. I would like to thank the people from Austria. I would like to thank the people from Argentina, to Turkey, to Morocco, to Luxembourg, to Colombia, to Singapore, to Bosnia and Herzegovina. That's one of my loveliest places. I used to have a girlfriend over there in Split. That's actually Serbo-Croatia. Sorry. In Mexico, in Indonesia, in Qatar, Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, unbelievable. Croatia as well. So there we are. Hey, hello to Split and to Povlja. It's an island on Brač. It's in Croatia, and I used to be there far often, and I really loved it. Finally, I would like to thank Poland, the Czech Republic, Costa Rica, United Arab Emirates, El Salvador, Bolivia, even the Islamic Republic of Iran is here on board, which is very nice, and I thank you for that, and I appreciate you listeners too, for sure. Just now in this very difficult times for all you guys over there in this area, so how you're gonna deal with the situation that Afghanistan is now occupied by more fundamental Islamists like the Taliban. I mean, I hope that everything went well, and that the regime of the Taliban somehow will create somehow a common sense and not continue with this very threatened violent actions what they did before. I hope. I pray for it, and I pray for the people over there as well. Thank you, people in Greece and eventually in Ghana. I mean, without you guys, I couldn't do this podcast, and because it is a listener-supported podcast, and it is about sharing this podcast if you like it. That's the only way how I can continue with that. But I will come to that on a later stage back as well. Yeah, I would say, okay, guys, I thank you a lot. Like I already mentioned, this podcast is about reflecting on former talk guests, because in this moment when I am with these talk guests, I'm so deep in my digital shamanism on my journey, so in creating the space. Especially, I had my last journey was actually it started with Matthew Rupp. It was a musician in Cologne. Then I came to Monty Warren. He's a rock and roll musician and solicitor in Florida. Then I went to Ivan Funk by Botley, one of the most hardworking musicians all over the world, I would say. Hi Ivan, hi Matthew, hi Monty. My last episode was with Terry Anderson, the probably the heart of the Olympic ass-kicking team. Unfortunately, I couldn't listen too much to his songs before I made this talk, but I mean, he's a hilarious songwriter. You should listen in this podcast and maybe listen to his songs as well, and as well to any other people. So you can find it in the links and. So this journey was for me really great, and I really appreciate it, and thank you guys that I could come virtually to America, to your roots rockers and funkers, and but I have to mention as well, I mean, I will come back, but I have to go as well into a different direction. I want to get a couple of artists again. I hope I will get Julia soon. She's from New York. In one of my next podcasts, she's a great artist, and it would be great to have a talk with her. Yeah, but last but not least, let's get back to this two artists. First of all, I would like to reflect a little bit about Bernd Franco Hoffmann. Bernd Franco Hoffmann is an author and an artist in general, as well, a musician probably too. So Hoffmann's previously book, or just published book, Sex, Drugs and Symphonies, or the incredible story of Adrian Ricbert and Tyler, is a mixture of rock history, comedy and thriller. It is a unique musical biography that has never existed before. I mean, that's very on their odyssey through 30 years of real music and contemporary history, the three musicians meet historical personalities such as Romy Schneider, Elena Ceausescu, and Charlie Chaplin. Yeah. So with Hoffmann, it was very special because he brought me completely into a time tunnel. I haven't seen him for 30, 40 years because we both come from Cologne. So in 1983, Bernd, he founded with Guido Kopp the electronic industrial band Sector, based in Cologne too. So the audience, and I mean, you must imagine it was a pre-techno area. So the audience mentioned to him, so you can't let the synthesizer run for 20 minutes and nobody sings, you know. So it was quite mad. I mean, I would say more rougher, far more punk than Einstürzende Neubauten. So after several concepts and band member changes, concerts all over Germany followed with him, including Documenta 8 in Kassel. But so then, unfortunately, the band broke up in 1991. But Bernd is still alive and kicking. And it was a great chat. I mean, this fellow. So he's really, as I know, we used to live in the 80s in a quite. In a subculture, yeah, like Renania and all that. And listeners who used to listen to my former podcast, they know that already a little bit about my background in Cologne, which was quite, tough and avant-garde, you know. So the thing is, I mean, here where I live now, I'm quite happy that I can use the internet, because I'm not sure if my art... if I'm with my art on a place like here in West Cork, if that's the right art, you know. So, I mean, if I would be potter, just potter, or landscape painter, maybe it would be the perfect way, because that's probably the only way you can make money with the tourists, but it's very difficult to do that with avant-garde. Like, I consider Bernd Franco Hoffmann as well, you know, but he found always ways as well to find gaps, especially with his book now, you know, and then now he writes for online magazines as a musician. So the talk with him was quite interesting, because it was really for me a journey back to the 80s, which was great, and B, all the other stories, as he met some musicians. I mean, I don't forgot the name, but and he interviewed them, and what happens then with him and these musicians. I mean, maybe you're gonna go back to this podcast and you listen to it. So it is nice, it is interesting. So that was Bernd, and Bernd, if you listen to it, I wish you all the best with your book, and I hope you can really bring it to place #1 at Emerson, because I read it, and it is really funny. Yeah, that was Bernd in episode, I don't know which episode was it, episode 18.3, 18.1, 18.2, 18.3. So some listener were asking me, hey, there is a gap between your episodes 26 or 27 or 30, is it, I think, and 86. So I have to explain that. I changed the way I gave this episode numbers. You know, first of all, I thought, from conceptual wise, it would be nice to have for every talk guest an episode number, and then 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, which is, it works somehow for me. It used to work for me, but then I realized, okay, if I want to do a podcast like this, like a reflection, so I'm going out of this concept. So maybe, and even for myself as information, where am I now? How many podcasts I already had that I'm not have to calculate and to count too much the numbers dividing by and blah blah blah. I changed the system, and now I have this numbers, forthcoming numbers, which helps me as well to get a better overview, and it's more manageable for me as well. And I would say I'm soon at the number 100. I still have to think about to do something special with that. I don't know. I mean, you can see here my old logo from ArTEEtude, which I wear on my t-shirt, and I changed that as well somehow. I'm working on it, and it is exciting. So I don't know, maybe I have special guests on number 100 is still a little bit, still 7 podcasts away. 2 guests, 2.5 guests, yes. Maybe 2 bigger and one tiny one. All right. Cool. So that's the thing. So yeah. So there's no gap. There's you didn't miss any podcast. It's just I changed the system, right? Okay, that was Bernd with episode 18, 1, 2, and 3, and then I came to episode 19, to Hungary. I mean, I already mentioned before today the outsider artist Szilagyi. It's very difficult for me to pronounce, but I think it's right. Well, it's right. So yeah, we talked about her inspiration for her very first drawings and her decision to become an outsider artist. We talked about her body modifications and the difference between body modifications and transhumanistic body enhancement. That sounds very, very, very sophisticated, but I think the way how we explain it, it makes sense for the most of us. we talked about finally about her journey from America back to Europe in a quite actually listener-friendly short attention span podcast time, so 20-25 minutes. So it was a great chat actually. So Zoe is making art since a very early childhood. So she's an autodidact and considers her art as outsider punk art, dark art or underground art. She was, and that was very, very exciting for me as well. She was part of the squatter scene in Berlin after the wall came down, the Berlin Wall. And now she's living in Hungary since 1990, and still inspired by the unconditioned expression of life, So her experience with her loving parents brought her to the decision that life for love without judging is a form of life. And therefore she devotes her life to the categorical imperative. So that means she lives her life in the same way as she wants to be treated. And I think this is an attitude, for sure. So, Zoe, thank you very much for this talk. I mean, I feel really sorry for you and for all the people over there in Hungary, because the alternative scene there, that they are more that if the free spirits over there, they feel quite somehow they feel an oppression is going on in Hungary, and I mean that's actually not nice for nobody, and I hope as well there that something will change and that they can find a way to live the categorical imperative, which is actually who's not knowing that, it's a philosophical, can we say ideology? Actually the term is coined by Kant, so that don't treat people like you don't want to be treated, so that was really nice to speak with Zoe, because that's actually the same way I think, and at least I try to live like this. I would say it works maybe to 95 to 96%. We're still somehow in contact, and I see her again always on Facebook. That is, she's still doing her projects, and you guys, you can go as well on my Facebook page or friend her on Facebook or on Instagram. You will find the links in my description. Tough life. I mean, but I think that's tough life for all artists. People thinking often that artists are lazy or what, but it is as well. I think it's a very difficult approach to live as an artist, because mostly you really you don't have a lot of money in your pocket, I mean, we all know that the pyramid of success is where it goes very tiny to the top, and on top there are not many. So that was actually I mean, the great thing, what impressed me from Zoe was that she did as well artwork with the ashes of her parents. Quite an amazing way to finally say goodbye to the parents. But how this came and how she was influenced by that as well, you might really go back to this podcast. It's 19, 1, 2, and 3. 19, no? 1, 2, and 3. And yeah, it's very, very, very interesting. So Zoe, thank you very much, and I hope you're well. Yeah. This were my reflections now for now, and now I would like to go to some reader question of hang on, it is Sylvia from London. Hi Sylvia. And she asked me on which projects I'm currently working, which artistical visual artists projects. Yeah, now since COVID is a little bit more settled and a little bit more organized, I think things will getting better somehow as well for us artists, that we can exhibit a little bit more and it was quite tricky at the beginning because I was working on a digital opera called Tribal Loop, and this opera was about tribalism. It was because I was so annoyed as Robert Trump was an American president, that I thought, okay, so you have to do something against him and this will be this opera. And if I can, I created an alter ego. This was myself. I gave myself the name Ronald Putin, and that was a symbiotic alter ego of Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Because I think both, I should probably take more other people as well, but both they express somehow this ideology of tribalism, which is the meaning that just they are right and any others are wrong, So that was actually the opera, and the first part is almost done. I still didn't continue with that. I went then eventually this year. I wrote a proposal for I've applied to a radio art residency at the Goethe Institute in Experimental Radio at Bauhaus Universität Weimar. They are in cooperation with the University of Music, Franz Liszt Weimar, Deutschland Kultur Eigenheim Weimar Berlin, and Radio Lotte. They were looking for radio artists, and I thought I could use the opportunity to explore radio as an instrument of communication, and I thought I could get inspired by this experience, because my deep-rooted artistic relation in sound and video installations come as well from my artwork, Trans-Audience Tragedy. So I was very inspired enough to do that, especially Weimar. Is actually the place where Nietzsche passed away in Germany, and I thought it would be great to do something with him, especially, and I can come back to that as well now because I can show you here. I finished the book, The Relationship Between Nietzsche and Wagner, and that was really very, 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 very mind-blowing, and so I thought, wow, so that fits very well into it. So I've applied to it, and my idea was to create a Nietzsche Wagner choir, somehow like a musical, and far more crazy things, but I can't go deeper into that now. Maybe I'm gonna do a special podcast about that. So fine. My idea was I would like to explore the possibility of radio waves in the 21st century as techno social healing. So my idea was then to use the letters of Nietzsche and Wagner, investigate in them, and use them a little bit as Wahrsagevogelgeist, like in the sense of Nietzsche. That means fortune-telling bird spirit. That's the English expression. Because I think Friedrich Nietzsche and in particular Richard Wagner become phantoms who provide informations and are called upon by me to uncover through artistic means ideological, aesthetical, and philosophical social relationships that set barriers to thought, you know. I mean, I think at the end, between the friendship between Nietzsche and Wagner, Wagner's Projekt Bayreuth, in Nietzsche's eyes, represents the low point of European culture. It represented a swamp of dishonest ideologies and an amalgam of anti-Semitism for Nietzsche, and as well an amalgam of Germanism and hatred of science, which was very, very interesting as I discovered that, because I mean, I think we are nowadays as well in the same glitch, you know. So the hatred of science when it comes to all this vaccination questions, and when it comes to conspiracy theories. I mean, we had that all already around 1800, 1850, and I've got the feeling. So if you look into this relationship between Nietzsche and Wagner, you find there a lot of similarities nowadays in it as well. And that was my idea. My idea was actually to use that and to create a Nietzsche Wagner musical with the letters between Nietzsche and Wagner, because they wrote they had a very intensive relationship, and it started very, very much that Wagner was somehow a very close friend to Nietzsche, and eventually it ended in hate and jealousy, and I mean, that's the way. I mean, I think that's the way when two very, very, very extreme egos clashing so onto each other, you know. I mean, time is too short now to go deeper to explain that. I mean, it's really very complex to understand, but interesting too. So Sylvia, that is was in a couple of sentences narrowed it down. That where I am working on now currently, or where I used to work. So plan was with this residency 3 months in Germany, and they paid as well. So so that was from September, October, November October, November to December, 3 months. And plan was then to go over there for this 3 months, but it didn't happen. They didn't take me because there were just three empty spaces for artists, and I don't know, maybe my project was too avant-garde or whatever. I don't know. I don't mind. I mean, I have enough other things to do, but that's the way of an artist. You know, you write proposals. You're going pregnant in your head with plenty of ideas, proposal ideas, and then it turns out after weeks of thinking and preparing that they don't take you, you know. And I have to say, my energy is as well restricted with other things, and especially with the podcast, that I'm not gonna doing this project just on my own, because this takes too much energy, and I mean, it costs as well money, you know. And I thought, okay, so with the support from Bauhaus Universität Weimar and the University of Music von Liszt in Weimar, I could create this project. But maybe another time, you know. I mean, that's as well. That's the art of the art. To be a visual artist is not getting bitter and still try to stay positive somehow. Yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And mühsam ernährt sich das Eichhörnchen. That is, you can Google what that means. Last but not least, I would like to go back now into my merchandising hell because I have to make an income as well. So, and my merchandising is actually going better. You see it in the background. There's one of my t-shirts. I have already, look here. Hang on, I got rid of my headphones. I have a new cup. You can find that on ArTEEtude.com. There's my shop. I like it actually. Yeah, I like it. T-shirts as well. That what you can see it if you watch my YouTube thing. You can see this T-shirt what I wear is I've washed it now already 6 times, and the color goes away. The particles away somehow. So that's the way how it looks on the back with my logo, and that's how it looks in the front. You see here, yeah. This is a fresh one without washing, you know. So that's it. Plus, if you want, I mean, Christmas is coming soon. We are already the Black Fridays. I don't know. This mug, which I'm drinking now, is I call it the dead fish mug, dead fish and water mug. So I found this fish and made images from it and put it on a mug. That's Nagoya Sunset here. I think it's actually a good idea because I mean nobody of you could probably pay a painting from myself, or maybe if you want to buy one, write me a direct message or whatever, and we can speak about that. Yeah. Anything else? I mean, if you want to listen to the podcast, you can go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. If you find a lot. And I would say that's it for today. Here are my candles. Next week is the visual one of this. I wish all my members, friends at the Isle of West Cork Artists Group all the best, and thank you as well for your support for this podcast. It's great to have you on board as listeners. Lovely. Anything else, you find links in my subscription or the description in any podcasts and informations of my artists and too. Have a lovely day, and I hope or better say, we hear us soon. Take care. Bye. You're Detlef. Ciao.